So, you just pulled a gorgeous Bundt cake out of the oven. The kitchen smells like a bakery. The cake looks golden and glorious. And now you're standing there, cake pan in oven mitts, asking, how long should I let this cool before flipping or decorating it? I've been there. Oh, have I been there? Done there. And I've also been the person who flipped too soon and ended up scraping what looked like a gingerbread landslide off the counter. Let's just say it wasn't one of my finer moments. So today, I'm going to share everything I've learned about cooling a Bundt cake the right way. Because this step, it can make or break your beautiful bake. The moment your timer goes off and your skewer or toothpick test comes out clean, step 1 is do nothing. I know the temptation to flip that baby is strong, but trust me, walk away. Let your Bundt cake cool in the pan for 10 to 15 minutes. I call this the Bundt breathing room. Less than 10 minutes and the cake is still too soft to hold its shape. More than 15 and you risk it sticking like glue to the pan. I set a timer every single time because I've been distracted before, answered a text, took a few photos, started cleaning up, and came back to a cake that had basically superglued itself to the pan. If you're nervous about the flip, don't worry. I have a whole other video that walks you through how to remove a Bundt cake from the pan without breaking it. Trust me, it's worth a watch before you attempt the flip. This part of the cooling helps the structure set just enough to hold together when you flip. But you still need to loosen the edges gently. I grab a thin spatula or plastic knife and run it around the outside edges and that tricky center tube. If you're still worrying about your Bundt not coming out of the pan cleanly, maybe you've had one too many cake casualties, then definitely check out that other video I mentioned. I go step by step through the removal process so you can flip with confidence instead of fear. Just a soft nudge, nothing aggressive. You're not trying to pry it out, you're just helping it let go. This is where proper greasing pays off. I always use vegetable shortening and flour or cocoa powder for chocolate cakes, not baking spray, not butter, and definitely not wishful thinking. All right, now the moment of truth. Place a wire rack on top of the Bundt pan, grip them both with oven mitts, and flip it like you mean it. If it slides out clean, congratulations, you just won the Bundt cake lottery. If it doesn't, tap the pan a few times. Sometimes a stubborn Bundt just needs a pep talk. Still stuck? Drape a warm, damp towel over the pan and wait 5 more minutes. That little bit of steam usually does the trick. But whatever you do, don't shake it. I've done that. And I ended up with what can only be described as a modern art installation. Once it's out of the pan, hallelujah, let the cake cool on a wire rack for 30 minutes to 1 hour. Don't cut into it. Don't glaze it. Just let it be. This second cooling stage is crucial for flavor and texture. If you try to frost too soon, the glaze will melt right off the top and puddle at the bottom. I've made that mistake too. Once on a cake I was bringing to a party. It looked like it had just survived a heat wave. You want the cake to cool to room temperature, around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. That's when it's ready for decorating, slicing, or devouring straight off the cooling rack. No judgment. I've been using a digital thermometer lately to help me know exactly when it's ready. It's one of those little tools that makes a big difference, especially if you're like me and tend to second guess whether the cake is too warm or already drying out. If you overcool or over-dry it, the crumb can get a little tough, and that lovely soft texture we worked so hard for, gone. So yeah, thermometer equals new best friend. And hey, if you're looking for a way to take your Bundt cake from good to absolutely irresistible, I have a whole other video where I share my favorite trick to make any Bundt extra moist and flavorful. It's simple, and it works like magic. Check that out too. Now let's talk about where you're cooling your Bundt cake, because this part is surprisingly important. You really want to use a wire rack instead of a cutting board, countertop, or even a plate. Why? Airflow. A wire rack allows air to circulate underneath the cake, which helps it cool evenly and prevents the bottom from turning soggy. If you place a warm cake on a solid surface like a cutting board, all that steam gets trapped underneath. That means a damp base, uneven cooling, and sometimes even condensation that messes with your texture. I made that mistake once. I slid my gorgeous cake onto a wooden board, thinking it looked fancy. And let's just say the bottom was more steamed than cooled. It stuck a little, got kind of gummy, and lost that perfect finish. Lesson learned. Wire rack all the way. It's like giving your cake a chance to breathe. Here's a quick highlight reel of my past Bundt disasters. I've undercooled and had a cake rip in half. I've overcooled and had it stick like it was welded in place. I've tried using butter instead of shortening and ended up with a Bundt-shaped crater. What fixed all that? 3 things. Shortening plus flour for greasing. Cooling in the pan exactly 10 to 15 minutes. A wire rack for even airflow. And honestly, accepting that sometimes things go wrong. I once turned a failed Bundt into a trifle and got more compliments than I ever did on the whole cake. So there's that. you're wondering about the tools that help make all this easier, my favorite Bundt pan, my cake lifter, my round cooling rack, they're all linked below in the description. Trust me, these little upgrades make a big difference. So, how long should a Bundt cake cool? Recap. Let's break it down. Cool in the pan for 10 to 15 minutes. Flip onto a wire rack. Cool completely for 30 minutes to 1 hour before decorating or cutting. Don't glaze or cut until it's room temp. If you're short on time, you can move it to the fridge after 30 minutes. Just make sure it's totally cooled before decorating. Got a funny Bundt story? Maybe your cake came out in chunks, but you called it rustic? I want to hear it. Leave a comment and let's share some baking therapy. We've all been there. Let's laugh about it together. That's my full guide to cooling a Bundt cake without losing your mind or your masterpiece. I hope this helps you nail it every time. If you liked this, don't forget to subscribe and check out my video on how to properly grease a Bundt pan. I go into way too much detail, but you'll thank me later. See you next time, and may your Bundts be golden, perfect, and drama-free.